Well, hey, and good Thursday evening to you. How are you? It's good to see you. It's good to be seen by you. I hope everybody's doing okay. I'm doing just fine and dandy. And who am I? Who am I to say that everything's okay and I'm doing great? Why, I am Bill Sylvie, aka the Dungeon Delver, live in the flesh, coming to you over the internet. How are you guys? I trust you're doing well, because I'm doing great. I can't complain. I could complain, but nobody's going to listen or help me do anything about it. No, all kidding aside, things are hunky-dory. Things are hunky and dory. Who's out there? Who's out there? We're a little quiet this evening. Did I start a little too soon for you guys? A little bit too soon? Oh, well. Maybe there is something to, I say, advertising, posting up on Reddit. The AD&D admins, there's an AD&D subreddit, and it's like a big shoebox that's full of first and second edition AD&D. But there's not a lot of traffic in it. So I post up links to the show, and I thought that was okay. But it's apparently not. It's apparently not. So, yeah. I had to stop doing that. I had to stop putting the live links up there like, hey, this is spam. Stop spamming the group. And I'm like, what? We come here and we talk about classic first edition AD&D most of the time. Sometimes it's different D&D, but, you know. But anyway, I'm here now, and folks are slowly starting to shuffle in. This is Thursday. One can never get the hang of Thursdays, right? But whoever you are out there, greetings and welcome. Because we're live now. And everything is hunky-dory. Can't help peasants lacking taste. That's right. I don't even know what... No, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to make that joke. But anyway. We got some I-1 to talk about before too much longer. We're going to get back into Dwellers of the Forbidden City. We're going to continue that deep dive. I think, this is what I think. There was a call for it. We're going to start our next deep dive. Our next deep dive is going to be a book, and it is going to be Deities and Demigods. Put it down in your calendar, and can I get an amen from those of you who include a heavy religious current running through your campaign? It's a little bit harder to incorporate, say, at a convention, or even a series of short events at a local gaming store, right? You know, you go, you game 3 times, you don't really have a chance to build up a big head of steam for what the folks upstairs and the folks downstairs are getting up to. Not in a short campaign. I mean, you can pre-establish things, right? You can say, look, we're using the Greyhawk gods. If you pray to Cord for help, he might show up. But to really make a world live, particularly if it's pantheistic, I think you need a longer campaign. That's just my 2 cents. Greetings, A-Wig. Hello, hello. That's just my 2 cents on the topic, guys. You may feel differently. But we can talk about that when we get there, because we're going to deep dive. We're going to talk about the history, the publications, so much rumor and conjecture about that book. We've actually had Jim Ward on this show in the past. AD&D author, not creator, but author, a guy who worked in the medium of Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. Jim Ward has been on the show to talk about the makeup, the structuring of deities and demigods. So we're going to jump into that at the appropriate time. But we got to finish up Dwellers of the Forbidden City first. I'm kind of at a crossroads here, guys. I know. I have been beating on the bully pulpit about the green devil face, the sphere of annihilation. Hey, kids, line up for free ice cream, however you meme it, from the Tomb of Horrors. I am offering 28 millimeter 3D printed examples for you to put on the table and scare your players with, or put, in put on your office desk and make your coworkers wonder exactly what's going on. However you roll with it. Just like I did the Beholder prints, which should be arriving in days. Okay? That's my hope. Greetings, Winter Wolf. Going outside and touching some grass, eh? So the Beholder sale went great. The Tomb of Horrors Devil Face has gone really good. And I have 7 orders. There are 3 orders left. 3 orders left. Now, I've been offering these for a while. But it doesn't appear that too many folks are jumping in on it. And that's fine. That's fine. 7 and then 3. I would prefer to do these things in 10s. So there's 3 spots left to fill before or until I pull that lever and they start getting stamped out of my 3D printer. If by next Monday, end of show next Monday, we don't have 10 orders, I will probably move on to the next project. Now, those of you who haven't ordered anything, who may be sitting on the sidelines going, what is he talking about? I don't take money. I don't take money until all the pieces are done and packed up and ready to go, and then I bill the people individually. So I'm not just saying, hey, 7 people have paid for these, but it's not 10, so I'm just not going to print them, and therefore they're out of there. No. Do survey for future prints? Sure. I've got a few things in the pipeline I'm thinking of kicking out there, but not until we have the decision final on the Green Devil face. But if Monday comes and goes, we'll just set that aside. Maybe in the future, people will want that print. Maybe in the future. But I'm not going to lean on anybody. I'm not going to grift so hard that you can't stand it. We'll find something to print after that, to print and offer after that. So, you see something here. I just want to take a quick check. Let's have a quick gander. It's something, you know how it is. I've got the battle stations here. Everything's all set up as it should be. But occasionally, there's some things that I have to, I have to sort out. So, let us move on. Interesting discussions have come up lately, and this actually started over on the poison that is Twitter, and it kind of seeped into the Discord. Not that I am shaming anyone. Quite to the contrary. Good discussion is good discussion, and I appreciate people coming in and bringing up things of note. But the subject of content warnings came up. Content warnings, trigger warnings, X cards? Question mark. And I just want to, we're not going to go over this a lot I'm just going to make a statement. This is my 2 cents. This is largely what I said on the Discord, but I think it merits repeating here live because some people don't like to follow the Discord. I get it. I understand. You're like, whoa, look, I tweet and I watch your show. I Facebook and I watch your show. You don't want to add more elements in. I get it. But it seeped over into the Discord. And there seem to be a few different schools of thought. Here's mine. When it comes to content warnings, to trigger warnings, I will lay out that in my AD&D games, virtually anything is possible. It's a living world. There is no artificial wall that stops you. There's no, transparent, hard plane that extends to the sky that you can't get through. Like if you walk all the way up into the mountains in Skyrim and it just, you cannot go that way, turn back. If the party decides they want to walk from the Immediate jungle all the way to the land of black ice, well, that's what they do. And in a world that is effectively infinite, there are infinite dangers, infinite horrors, infinite atrocities, infinite wonders, infinite joys. And it's up to me as the DM to build the world accordingly. And people know that. People at my table know that. They understand that. So as the world turns and people understand that, if an event happens, I don't include a mechanism in my game where somebody can just say, I'm changing your game. It upsets me. I'm playing the X card. I'm changing the game. Your game upsets me. So I'm going to change that. There. I stopped it. I don't do that. I'm never going to do that. At my table, I wouldn't go to an event where it was insisted that I have that mechanism. I would never tell someone, hey, you over there in your home game, don't forget to do that, to have, that kind of mechanism in your game. You have to. You have to, or you're just doing it wrong. You're ruining everything. I insist that you do. I would never do that. With that said, I think it's a point of common courtesy. If you are running a public game or you are opening up your game for the public to possibly participate in, whether they come to your house, to a park, a library, an FLGS, a convention. I think you have an obligation to tell people, this is how my games go. And I made the analogy on the Discord. I said, look, John and John Jr., John Sr. wants to teach John Jr. how to play Dungeons and Dragons. And he comes to your table at a convention that is family friendly. He doesn't dump his kid off and expect you to be the babysitter. He sits down at your table. You've got an underage kid across from you. And you launch into the most horrible, pornographic on many different levels stuff in your game. Just absolute nightmare fuel. And you haven't given any indication. You just said, I'm playing Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, the Village of Hamlet. Hey, Todd. You, the dungeon master, are a jerk who should go outside and touch grass and not DM D&D games. Because consider this. Nobody's asking you to be their child's babysitter. But if out of nowhere, in the middle of a game that's just been advertised as an AD&D game, The Village of Hamlet, you start introducing elements that are objectionable, and yes, you know what I mean. Like I said, you shouldn't be playing D&D. You should go out and you should touch grass. When we go now, let me tell you something. Flip that around. If you put in your game description Village of Hamlet, but dark, violent adult themes, 18 plus only, not for families. And John Sr. brings John Jr. to the table. You got to look at him and say, you saw what was there. And I'll wrap it up by using the analogy I used on the Discord today. If you take your kids to the movie theater because they're advertising what, through all intents and purposes, is a G-rated, family-friendly movie, and you go in and you sit down and it is a Serbian film. I don't mean a movie made in the former Yugoslav Republic of Serbia. I mean a Serbian film. Don't Google that. You have every right to be outraged at the theater for that. Conversely, if the movie poster is for a Serbian film, don't take your kids in there. Don't do that. Why would you do that? What is wrong with you? You're the problem, not the movie. But with that said, I'm not going to say to the creators of a Serbian film, you can't create that. Somebody might see this and it could cause them trauma. So you can't create that. You can't do it. I mean, hell, I think the Dungeons and Dragons module that's out for 5th edition, where you can play a barista, and suggested adventure hooks are, we got to get the espresso machine working, guys. In that world of infinite possibilities of Dungeons and of Dragons, that offends me. I find that offensive. But I also wouldn't sit down, play that game, and then jump up and insist I be given a mechanism. I warned you, role play. I would not try to employ some mechanism and say, I got scalded by steamed milk, and therefore you can't have this in your game. I would get up and I would walk away. Infinite possibilities across the tabletop. Don't come to mine and tell me I can't because you think it might bother you. If me and my group are doing okay, if one of my players on Monday night ever came to me and said, dude, that kind of squicked me out, I'm good enough friends with him. I would probably find out what squicked them out about it and not do that again. I've had players completely freak out because I used the rough outline of the Ted the Caver scenario. And one of my players was like, that shit gave me nightmares. But she was thrilled by it. She was like, that was, yeah, had to sleep with the lights on. That was great. That was really effective, you know? So she got a thrill out of it in the same way of roller coaster horror movie kind of thing. Should I have denied her that experience? No, of course not. So that's where I stand. That's my stance on it. You can get mad at me, you can hate me, you can say that like I am a wuss because in open play, I would warn people and I would recommend they don't play if I've got those elements. Or that you should say, my game has these elements. I recommend you don't play if you're, if that kind of thing's going to set you off. Or you can call me a monster and try and have me canceled because I'm suggesting DMs can do what they want at their own table and they don't really have to have a mechanic that lets a player push a nope button. Call it wishy-washy, call it fence sitting. I say it's common sense and it's what you should use. And that's what I have to say on the topic of the content of your tabletop. But the idea of everyone should do this. You're doing a disservice to Dungeons and Dragons or to tabletop role playing. If you don't do this, I don't buy it. I'm not going to let you do that. You're no different from a church lady running in with a magic marker and coloring over all the bare breasts in Monster Manual, Deities and Demigods, Player's Handbook, and Dungeon Master's Guide. You're correct, Kennick. Many have gotten oversensitive. It's just the times we live in. Go run your AD&D games. Or your classic Traveler games. Or your Cyberpunk 2020 games. Or your Vampire the Masquerade. Look at the Toronto by Night source book for Vampire the Masquerade. Or don't, if you want to save your eyeballs. Oh, and one other, just a quick side swerve, and then I promise we're going to go into some I1. Please don't come at me and talk to me about all of these horrible things you put in your game to freak the normies. I consider myself an ambassador of classic role-playing games. And when I see people who are like, yeah, I play a mashup of Mort Borg and Rehoa and whatever that game Varg Verkens wrote, and Fatal. That'll get them. That'll show people. Sure thing, edgelord. You probably wear a trench coat. You have a trilby. They're not fedoras. You have a trilby and a katana and fingerless black gloves. That's you if that's what you do. You smell of Cheetos and likely weigh 350 pounds. Hello, John. Good to see you. John Scott, peace. So we've eaten up way too much time of me talking about that. And we're now going to jump into I1, Dwellers of the Forbidden City. Freak your players, include sales tax in your game. That should be the shocking. That should have a trigger warning because all taxation is theft. Let's get to it. Let's get to it. Oh, and there's something right there. Okay, so I'm the boss. Need the info. This is I6 in I1. So we're going to look at that. Map I. So this is, this is this area here. It's not map 1. That's not a Roman numeral. This is map I. Thank you, Roleplay the Right Way. I try to spit some truths. At the center of the ruins is the camp of the chieftain, commonly called the boss. He was born down in a dead man's town. The first tick he took was when he hit the ground. By the other bugbears. The chief is armed with a sword of wounding, intelligence 13, ego 4, chaotic neutral, which is interesting because that means if you got a chaotic good character in the party or chaotic neutral or chaotic evil, they can get their hands on this thing, and it's how the chief is able to wield it, because bugbears are chaotic evil, of course. Empathy, detect invisibility, heal once per week, and that doesn't mean it comes back to your hand and then sits by your foot. Heal, I can only presume that it means the spell heal. Maybe cure light wounds is what he intended, but heal, which is a powerful healing spell. And wears a ring of protection +1. As bodyguards, he has 2 large bugbears armed with spears. The boss also has a pet warthog. He's got an A10. Actually, the technical name is A10 Thunderbolt 2. That always follows him around. Also in the camp are 5 normal bugbears and 6 infants. Oh boy. Greetings, Dungeon Minister. Oh, I just talked about, content warnings in RPGs. Easily digested and discussed material that never causes any controversy when you bring it up. There are also 6 mongrelman slaves fastened to 15-foot-long ropes. All 6 have their tongues cut out, so none have the normal mimicking ability of their kind. Their leader is tied to a rope from his ankle to a large boulder. He has hidden on him a small blowgun and 3 poison darts. He will use these on anyone if the opportunity to escape arises. It's you, adventurer. Hidden in the piled furs of the various bugbears are 2,000 electrum, 500 gold, and 4 pieces of jewelry worth 500 each. Roll-up jewelry per the Dungeon Master's Guide. That is some pitiful jewelry that these bugbears have. The chief also wears a jeweled headband, actually a human's belt, worth 3,000 gold pieces. And we come to Area J, Ruins of the Mongrel Men. This small section of the city is all that remains of the original human inhabitants, now reduced to cunning and ruthless mongrel men. To survive, they efficiently patrol the area, and there's an 80% chance that any party who enters the area will be observed. Warnings will be spread in the form of mimicked animal cries. If characters are captured by the mongrel men, the captives will be taken to Area J5, the Leader's Chamber. There they will be presented to the leader and told the history of the mongrel men by a chanter. This story is a long and solemn epic told in a sing-song mixture of broken common and animal cries. It is ridiculously heroic in parts, while other parts are confused nonsense. However, if the characters mock or laugh during this performance, they will be kicked into silence. The leader's chamber will be very crowded, as most of the clan will want to attend the ceremony. You like that art, Dungeon Minister? That's Jim Holloway, And again, I say it almost every session, but it's only this time because the dungeon minister brought it up. I didn't intend to. The Jim Holloway's science fiction art is excellent. I just don't know what it is about his fantasy art that just leaves me completely flat. The art styles are the same. It's just subject. But I'm just like, eh. After the history, the characters will be informed of their choices. They may either select a champion from their group to wrestle their mongrel man leader to the death, or go willingly as sacrifices to the gods of the city. Information on how to handle the wrestling match may be found at Area J5 is taken as sacrifices. See Area J8. If a character wins a contest against the leader, the tribe will, hail that person as their new leader. Bet you couldn't see that coming. Any attempt to leave the camp without a guard of mongrelmen will create anger and possibly violence. Essentially, the victorious character will be held as a hostage, expected to lead and guide the tribe. If the character loses the match, the surviving characters will be sacrificed. So, you want to fight or you want to be sacrificed? If you lose the fight, you'll be sacrificed. The main camp of the mongrelmen. So I always found mongrelmen, as explained in the second edition in Monster Manual 2, to be kind of sad, a little pathetic. Here you just kind of want to levitate back off 300 feet and hit them with a fireball. See, we saw a lot of Jim's work in S4, and it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Anyway, the main camp of the mongrelmen, Area J, is located in the ruins of the poor section of the city. And those guys couldn't catch a break, even thousands of years later. From the outside, the walls appear to be nothing but densely packed rubble, difficult to cross. There is little to show actual planning or work done on the walls, as the compound is 95% camouflaged. Characters attempting to cross a wall have a 50% chance of making some loud noise, probably a falling rock, thereby alerting the compound. All mongrelmen have the abilities of camouflage, mimicry, and pickpocketing. See the end of this module. Several large poles stretch Pulaski, tallest pole I ever met, are set up in the compound. These poles are used for tying up prisoners. All are empty when the characters arrive at the compound. And then we have the guard post, the welcoming committee, the main compounds. Their protective walls form the main compound. Here are the pits, lean-tos, ragged tents, tiny thatch huts, and boulder and wood shelters of the main clan. If the characters are captured, the clan members will surround, stare, touch, poke, and kick the characters as they pass through this area. If the characters should somehow come as guests, the clan will still surround and stare, but will not abuse the characters. There are 50 mongrelmen and their stats. Although the statistics given for individual mongrelmen may vary, the statistics given above represent the average of the group. They will not be coordinated to defend and could be routed by a very efficient, overwhelming, and swift attack. The DM should remember the thieving nature of the mongrelmen. Moving through this area invites pickpocketing. Under normal circumstances, 1 to 3 attempts will be made a turn. Any items taken will be immediately spirited away. Characters attempting to force the return of an item will only anger the clan. Items stolen should be chosen randomly from those available. Larger, bulky items are not likely to be taken, but purses, straps, and scabbards may be cut free and taken. Now, let's look at the J maps for a second. So there's the eye. And yeah, the mongrelman area, it's pretty plain. some tumble down ruins. Not much to see here. And you got the prisoner poles, you got doors, you got impassable ruins, 1 square equals 10 feet. It's like that. Hidden in various hovels is a total of 6,000 copper, 2,000 silver, 800 gold, a ring of regeneration, and a potion of amnesia. A single sip will cause a character to forget all memories. Name, companions, past adventures, skills, magic items, etc. may be regained through the use of commune, heal, restoration, limited wish, or wish. It takes 12 turns to search the compound area to find all these items. Dang. A potion that just obliterates your memory. It's like some terrible spy TV show from a few years ago. So we have the Bristling Beast. This sectioned off area is where most of the cooking is done for the clan. Several fire pits, a large pot, hanging carcasses, and dried fruits are in this area. Hope you guys brought your barbecue sauce. The meats are fly-covered, possibly rotting, and might have once been any creature. Bring a lot of barbecue sauce. A giant hedgehog is tearing at the dried fruit. It will attack any who try to drive it away. A pile of rubble near the wall shows how it entered the camp. And we come to something interesting. The Mystic Mistress. It is noticeable that not a single mongrel man lives within 50 feet of this building. This is because dwelling in the building is Arathias, a female elven magic user. She's a dagger +1, a cloak of protection, and a rod of absorption. The rod can absorb 3 more spell levels and has 7 levels of potential left to discharge. Arathias has the following spells memorized: Burning Hands, Enlarge, Sleep, Pyrotechnics, Scare, Blink, and Lightning Bolt. She's also collected 3 gems worth 1,000 each, 200 gold and 100 silver. Her spellbook contains the spells given above and 3 extra first level spells, 2 extra second level, and 2 third level spells. DM choice. Arathias has taken refuge with the mongrel men ever since her party was destroyed. She has tried to escape the city several times. She will join and assist any party not obviously evil or incompetent. Well, so much for any D&D group ever. The elf chick is a fun encounter in here, yeah. Provided they help her escape. The mongrel men are thoroughly afraid of her, having had a taste of her powers. Rumors are already starting to spread amongst them, describing her as an angry goddess of the city. Arathias is normally arrogant and indolent. Her recent failures in leading the city have hurt her pride. Although pleased to be rescued, she will mock and ridicule mistakes by the party members. She will not admit readily to her own failures. And there she is, beating on a couple of mongrel men. All right. Excuse me. Didn't get good sleep last night. Won't get good sleep tonight. This bare and dirty room was once the first floor of an entire house. I didn't say that role play the right way. You did. All the inside walls have been knocked out to make the leader's quarters. The leader, whose name resembles the sound of a leopard's coughing growl, lives here. With him are 4 companions. The leader is very ugly, half-human, ogre, frog, and dog-like features, unpleasantly blended together. You know, as cool as I thought the mongrel were when I was a kid, this sort of just scrambled eggs phenotype just makes me go, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. If a character decides, his arms, chest, and neck are covered by crosshatch of scars, and only tufts of hair dot his head. If a character decides to wrestle the leader, See the beginning of this section. The leader will be bound to accept. The rules of the match will then be explained. There are no spell casting, no help from others, no rest breaks, no armor or weapons, and fight to the death. Fight. Finish him. So maybe don't help her escape, says Awake. To handle the fight, the DM should use the following table for the leader's attacks. Players may also be allowed to use this table if they desire. The initiative is rolled normally. If using the unarmed combat tables in the Dungeon Master's Guide, seek physician immediately. No. The combat should proceed as explained there. When the following table is used, the DM or player must first state whether the round will be fought fairly or dirty by that character. Next, a normal 2-hit roll is made. If a player character is fighting dirty, the chance to hit is reduced by -4. If the leader is fighting dirty, the 2-hit roll is only -2. If a hit is scored, roll 1d6 and find the results on the proper table. All damage is 25% real and 75% temporary, causing unconsciousness. Excuse me again. There's the fair fighting, headbutt for 10 point, throw for 4 points, lose initiative next round, bear hug for 5 points plus strength bonus, punch 8 points damage plus strength bonus, headlock 4 point damage, elbow smash 6 point damage plus strength bonus. Greetings, Baron. Fighting dirty. Eye gouge 8 points, 1 in 6 chance of permanent eye loss. Kick 10 points damage plus strength bonus. Throw dirt, blinded for 1 to 3 rounds. Bite, 4 points of damage. Face smash, 12 points of damage. Strangle, 6 points. And you got to go back up to the top to see what happens. Under the leader's mat are 5,000 gold, 3 pieces of jewelry, and a potion of water breathing. In the gambler's den, somewhere in the darkness, the gambler, he broke even. But in his final words, I found an ace that I could keep. Yeah, no throat punch. I think it's just your end, but if anyone else says, hey, my picture is blurry too, I've got a good rock solid connection. It's a long, narrow chamber. In the center are 6 mongrelmen. They're surrounded by piles of splintered wood, shards of bone, and sections of broken braziers. The mongrelmen are enjoying a friendly game of skill. 8 small round pebbles and attempts to toss these into the eye sockets of a skull 6 feet away. And basically here your party can try different things to gamble, to get information or what have you. And if they don't win, they'll just pick your pockets. You're darn right your connection is dodgy, Dungeon Minister. This is last night's live stream. That's how bad your connection is lagging. There's a storeroom. DM can stock it as they see fit. Someone once told me they were complaining about the state of internet in Canada, and they said it would literally be easier for them to FedEx, or it would be faster to fill a hard drive with data, 160 gig. They specified 160 gig SSD, fill it with data, FedEx it to someone overnight, and then that person takes the hard drive once they get the data off and throws it in the garbage. It would be cheaper to do that every month than to pay for whatever telecom they had up there at that time in that area. Fantasy cornhole. Yeah, Dave's got it. No, don't go near the fantasy cornhole. It won't end well. Sacrificial poles. Erected on the edge of these ruins to the northeast, well away from the main camp, are 3 large poles. Each pole is 10 feet tall and carved with the crude faces of different creatures that have formed the ancestry of the mongrelmen. In each pole, a large metal ring is set at about 7 feet height. Sacrifices are brought here, fastened to the poles, and left to die. Monsters have learned that easy prey can be gained here. Therefore, the chance for an encounter is 25% each turn. Use the City Wandering Monster table to determine what appears. Yeah, I don't have enough bandwidth to show you guys tomorrow's live stream today. You'll have to sit and watch it tomorrow. And finally, well, not finally, but as in at last, well, even that's the wrong term. And so we come to the Bullywug Stockade, which sounds like something from the Sid and Marty Krofft show went militant. Am I right? The Bullywug Stockade. When the Bullywugs entered the Forbidden City, they chose the swamp as the best place to live. To ensure their safety, they built a small stockade around the hillock into which their homes were dug. The stockade may only be reached safely by traveling on one of the marked paths through the swamp, and that's map area K, I believe. Let's see, do we have any more? Y'all got any more of those K maps? I might be missing something because I could swear the Bullywug Stockade was mapped out. The stockade may only be reached by traveling on one of the marked paths through the swamp. The stockade is built from large canes of bamboo, lashed and pegged together. The wall is 10 feet tall. The tops are sharply pointed, and the whole wall leans outward, making climbing skill useless. There are no gates, as the Bullywugs simply use their hopping ability to clean the wall. Well, you're just a bunch of jerks. Stand back and hit that sucker with a fireball. That's all I got to say. It surrounds a small mound that is 20 to 30 feet high. The mound is covered with grasses. On the top is a 10-foot square platform protected from the sun by a thatched roof. Hanging between 2 posts is a large brass gong and striker. This is the watchtower. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do-do. There must be some kind of way out of there. But there isn't, unless hopping is your way. It is always manned by one bullywug, armed with a spear. Under normal conditions, this bullywug can spot creatures 100 feet from the camp. If the creatures appear to be intruders, the bullywug will pound the gong in alarm. Exactly, Robert. More quicksand. So the bullywugs, which I am made to understand. One of Gary's sons apparently invented the bullywugs, but I could be wrong about that. The tunnels in the mound are hand dug from loose dirt. There is little shoring or finishing done. Everything is quite damp. A 3-inch layer of mud covers all the floors. Is the bullywug on the top? I don't think so. I don't think anybody's going to want to kiss the bullywug if that's what you're angling towards, Damien. All bullywugs encountered have chameleon powers, 75% unnoticeable, and can surprise on a 1 to 3 normally or 1 to 5 if hopping to the attack. They will attack last if not using a long pole weapon and may hop up to 3 feet forward or 1.5 inches upward, gaining +1 on 2 hit rolls and doing double damage when making a hopping attack. That's pretty brutal. When the frog's legs fight back. Stakes and guards. Steak. And you thought it was just going to be frog's legs. So each entrance is protected in a similar fashion. Just inside the tunnel mouth is hidden a shallow pit 1 foot deep, filled with sharpened bamboo stakes. These punji stakes are covered by mud. Unless the party probes the floor, the lead characters will automatically slip into the pit. Characters probing have a 25% chance of failing to notice the stakes, although the pit will be found. Those falling into the pit will be pierced by 1 to 6 stakes, taking 1 to 6 points of damage. And there's a 5% chance cumulative that they will get a parasitic infection. It's kind of a nice way of saying it. The fire-hardened bamboo stakes that were in the pits in Vietnam, the stakes themselves were often covered in human poop. We already did all along the Watchtower jokes, Damien. But Dungeon Minister was there. Thus, a character hit by 4 stakes has a 20% chance of becoming infected. Each pit is 7 feet long. Beyond the pit is a guard post. In it are 4 normal bullywugs, armed with spears, and a trained killer frog. Probably working out better than the attempts to create killer spiders by the Tasloi. Sick him, Fido! Ah, not me, you idiot! The guards will move out and attack any intruders who are attempting to cross the punji stakes. Then we have the main chamber where most of them are found. An alarm will be set up. Captives will be fed to the Pan Lung at Area L. If the alarm is sounded or the bullywugs here fighting at one of the guard posts, half of those here will move to assist or investigate. The remaining half will move to the tadpole pond to protect the tribe's young. The room is unlit and unadorned. Throughout the floor are 6-inch to 1 foot deep pits filled with mud and water. These will create problems for characters in combat. There is a 1 in 6 chance each round that a character will slip, losing his or her chance to attack that round. In the bottom of several of the pits are treasure. If the entire room is searched, the characters will find 8 gems, 500 gold piece each. I don't know about you guys, but I think Mr. Cook was just having us on. I don't think he rolled those at all. I think he just made them up. And that's perfectly okay. I'll go you one better, Dungeon Minister. Can you imagine if Hendrix had done Let's Go Crazy? Just put yourself in that. Actually, don't put yourself in that. You may never come back. Ah, there we go. There's Map K, or Map. And there is the Bullywugs mound. And we're coming up on time. We're going to wrap this up, but I hope we can get to the Pan Lung because we're getting on towards being done with this here module. And as I said, if you came in later, the next deep dive we're going to do may take us out to the end of the year. Do you know why? Does anyone who showed up on time to class want to tell the other students why? I'll wait. I'll see if you guys do. If you don't, this is the court, sleeping chamber, treasury, armory, and war room of the self-styled king of the Bullywugs, Grok. He wears chainmail armor, carries a shield, and fights with a spear +2. With him are 4 large bullywugs, his most trusted followers. How do frogs know that when they can and can't trust each other, though? Besides the normal items a frog king might collect. I love that. Just, the normal items a frog king might collect. The bullywugs guard 1,500 silver, 5,000 gold, and 1 700 gold piece gem. It was a rhetorical question, Kennick. The tadpole pond. There are sturges in here. They don't attack the bullywugs, but they will attack anybody else. There's no treasure in this room. Fireball it. Actually, I think where it's at, you can't. Well, I mean, burn the rest of the party alive and possibly collapse the mound on them. The storeroom for them, fish and insect paste. And some of the pools are fermented to create a delicacy greatly enjoyed by the bullywugs. The stench in this area is extremely bitter. The bullywugs are Norwegian. It's lutefisk. Hidden in one of the pools is an ochre jelly. It will attack any person who pokes or prods at the DM. Must decide exactly where in the hallway the jelly is. I don't think that that's really a danger, honestly. With this room, it's like, well, there's pits full of fermenting bug and fish paste. We turn around and leave. The ochre jelly is fine. God of the bullywugs. The lake is black and scummy, clogged in places with reeds, duckweed, and lily pads. Life teams, I think he meant teams, T-E-E-M-S, not T. Life teams. It's like a group of paramedics that jumps out of a helicopter to save you. It's a life team. They're coming in to help. Jack, they might have. Anyway, life teems in these dark water in the forms of swarms of stinging insects, frogs, spiny fish, and water snakes. There's also many crocodiles, which are a threat to any swimmers. But the killer crocs are not the most feared creature of this lake, for this is the abode of the god of the bullywugs. The actual god is an old pan-lung type of oriental dragon. If the dragon succeeds in biting, it will coil its long tail around the victim, and on each succeeding round, automatically bite for 1 to 8 points of damage and constrict for 2 to 12. Pan-lung also have the following spell-like natural abilities. Continual ESP, 30 feet range, polymorph to human form, invisibility, cast water fire at will, cast scaly command once per day, and charm monster 3 times a day. And water fire allows the pan-lung to surround itself with magical flame when in the water. Any creature striking the dragon while it is aflame will take 1 to 6 points of damage. It may be negated by fire or other magical fire for 20 to 120 rounds. Pan-lung with egg noodles. Scaly command allows the pan-lung to summon and control 6 to 60 of the crocodiles that live in the lake. Furthermore, no scaly creature will attack a creature with the power of scaly command. Just don't wear your rattlesnake skin boots, and you're fine. And at last, when the party is moving across the lake and swamp, there's a 25% chance that an encounter will be with a pan-lung. It'll be invisible 60% of the time, unless surprised. Although the creature is chaotic neutral, its long stay in the valley and its worship by the bullywugs has led it to expect sacrifices. Should none be forthcoming, or should the pan-lung learn the true nature of the party through its ESP, it will promptly flee. It will then polymorph into the form of a human adventurer and return to the area to encounter the party. The pan-lung will allow itself to be rescued by the party and will agree to accompany them. It will not speak, feigning that it is mute or that it cannot speak the language of the characters. If accepted by the party, it will attempt to lead them into situations where the characters must waste their powers on small, unnecessary things, such as unneeded cures and fights where nothing is gained. It will never assist to any degree. This thing's mid-level management. Waste your time, waste your resources, doesn't help. When the characters finally reach a point where the Panlung's aid is vital, it may betray them. However, because it is chaotic, the Panlung may become indifferent or friendly and not harm the party, either leaving or offering some useful bit of information. If the DM feels betrayal would absolutely destroy the party, it should remain indifferent. I don't know. Too bad cast iron bombs don't exist in AD&D. Yeah, well. It'll sell you extended warranties. No, that's chaotic evil. That's chaotic evil. On the shore of the lake opposite the Bullywug Stockade area is the nest of the Panlung. 5,000 platinum, 10,000 gold, and 20,000 copper. A trident +3, a potion of fire giant strength, and a potion of polymorph self. The swamp horrors, and the illustration kind of gave it away. Yeah, it really does. It really does, Slan. So basically in here, there are 2 shambling mounds, and shambling mounds are absolutely horrors. They'll lurch out of the stalls, one at each end of the marketplace. They will attempt to trap a party between them and then kill as many characters as possible. In a stall from where one of the monsters appeared is a potion of extra healing and a clerical scroll with cure serious wounds, remove curse, and neutralize poison. And we have this awesome Jim Rosseloff drawing. We're going to see a lot of Jim's work when we get into deities and demigods. Yes, shambling mounds are the man thing. And that is Dwellers in the Forbidden City, guys. That is a pretty darn good module. However, the sum of the parts are greater than the whole. In this module, the sum of the parts are definitely greater than the whole. I feel that pieces of it, the Panlung Dragon encounter, the Bullywug Stockade, I'm kind of on the fence with the Mongrelmen, but the fact that they have this elven woman that they regard as their angry goddess as being a redeeming feature of it, I can take or leave the Tasloy. The Yonti are there, but honestly, I think you should rework the Yonti encounters. They should be much tougher. The Aboleth, I think the Aboleth is about good as it is. Yeah, no, I've had parties become able to deal with a Mongrelman to a greater or lesser extent without having to do the whole wrestle to the death thing. But yeah, in the overall, do I think I1 is a classic that you should rush out and get on drive-through and absolutely own a copy of? Hell no. Not a print-on-demand copy of. But for a few bucks for a good idea mine, it's certainly better than a lot of other modules that came later. So I'll give it that, and I'll say that it's worth doing. Under the control of a Death Slot, sure. Make a lot more of the rooms explorable. Put it on Isle of Dread or put the Hidden Shrine of Tamakon in it. Otherwise, you're just not getting all of this you could. Personally, I think it needs some savage lizard men, not lizard. Sound like Christopher Walken. Savage lizard men will cut your heart out with a butter knife, stab you in the face with a soldering iron. The savage. Frankenstein never scared me. Marsupials do. The fast. They dot. Trick or treat. It's a good question. My question for you, children, is can any of you guess what I have buried underneath my porch? So, yeah, didn't mean to do that. No, I would throw some Savage Lizard Men in there and put a Lizard King straight out of the Fiend Folio in as their deity. Thank you, Jack Photon. I appreciate it. So yeah, I would. There are things I would do to this module. There are railroady elements that I would take out. There are things I would add. It is perhaps best viewed as a guidebook to the Forbidden City, to be approached however you want and have stuff bolted into it or removed as you see fit. Don't like Oriental dragons? Make it a green dragon. Make it an exceptionally selfish bronze or copper or brass dragon. But just have some fun with it. Now, starting tomorrow night, and I'm glad we got through this. I didn't rush this, by the way. I didn't just like blitz through it like, I'm going to finish this up so we can start. Starting tomorrow night, before we play Call of Cthulhu, we are going to do a deep dive of deities and demigods. Now, the last time I talked about deities and demigods, I said, hey, I don't think we're ever going to do a deep dive on this because we'd be here forever. I think it deserves it. I think now is the time, and I take back what I said. You are late, Bob. I'm sorry. I think looking at each pantheon, what the gods can do for your characters, and I want to be very delicate with it. Jim told me that there are active religions in deities and demigods. Native American, Indian mythos. And he was very upfront and said, no, nobody ever had. I can't do a good Joe Pesci. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Brodo. None of the adherents of those two religions had problems, felt they were being insulted or treated unfairly, or however you want to say it. I'm approaching this as a book. This is not intended to be a scholarly study of anyone's beliefs. There are people in Finland and Iceland and other places who believe in elves and fairies. And I would not, and I don't say that as a joke. That's their actual religious belief. I would not say, ooh, does a dungeon, look at this, elves and fairies are silly. We're approaching this as a game book. And I get the question sometimes, people are like, well, what if they statted up Jesus and Moses and so on, et cetera? Well, they didn't. Jim did not do that. Grumpy Old Slan asks, which edition of Deities and Demigods? Why, first edition AD&D, of course. I know there was one for third edition, but this will be the one for first edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. So I'm looking forward to it. And I hope you guys are too. Something else that's fun and that I enjoy is giving thanks to people. Giving thanks to people. And not just in the, I just had a bunch of turkey or I'm about to eat a bunch of turkey. Well, you know what? We'll talk about that a tiny bit. But I like to thank people for doing awesome stuff. That is something that I enjoy. And we have nice things like pretty decent studio lights and a great camera and a nice boom for the mic. And it's all of its associated coverings. We have those things because there are lovely people who help out with the show. I can afford the bandwidth. I can afford StreamYard without that duck logo down in this corner, right about there. I can host my website, guide-key.com. If you are looking for a professional dungeon master, please check me out. I can do all those things in part because of the assistance of several people. And let me just take a moment to thank them. So big shout out of thanks to Joshua Garlock, Lord Corion, Ricky Maru, Mobius, Kevin Reynolds, Doomsword Deathmaster, Mark Simpson, Damien X247, James F. Keck, William Smith, The Dungeon Minister, Manny Wall, Mark Corey, Kevin Wood, Todd Sharp, Carnivore Farmer, Rob, Jeremy Rule, Boganora, Mikey Mank, Sky Hernstrom, Pete Sullivan, the DM's Council, and Baron Von Headbanger. Thank you all very much for contributing to the ongoing success of the show. And if you yourself are out there and you're like, how do I get in on those high fives and kudos? Well, you can support us on Patreon. You can support us on Subscribestar, or you can support us through direct donation, or you can buy me a coffee. You can just buy me a coffee. buymeacoffee.com/bsylvie. And throw a little bit in the can for me. I greatly appreciate it. That is about all I've got. Tomorrow night, we will be back kicking off the read, the deep dive, the exploration, the discussion, the history of Deities and Demigods. Won't you come back and join us? And if you're just stopping by for the first time, click that subscribe button, click that bell icon for notifications, leave a comment in the video if you like it, give it a thumbs up if you like it, give it a thumbs down if you don't, but also leave a comment if you don't like it. Because that way, if I'm doing something you don't like, you're like, hey, you're too manic with your gestures. I can slow them down. I'm just kidding. I'm never going to stop. But I will adjust other things if it really bugs a lot of people. So that said, everyone, have an absolutely wonderful night. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching Dwellers of the Forbidden City Deep Dive. Let's read. And yes, tomorrow night after Deities and Demigods, Call of Cthulhu. None of you will survive. Have a great evening, everyone. Peace. I love you all, and I mean that.